Dundee and Glasgow, Edinburgh, Inverness. This is such a common story for the world is our domain. Scottish people make a difference, and to that we'll drink again. Scottish boys are doing alright. Charge your glass and raise it high. Two old friends to our country, united till the day we die.
Definitely, mate. Awesome. Before we went off the air and got back because I got a phone call from my mom. Again, sorry about that. We have been joined by Pat Lee. How you doing, mate?
Very good, Raymond. Thank you very much.
And I also saw that we got Marco Coupe on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
You can hear me, but you can see me.
No.
Put your camera on. Right, folks, just to let you know, I think Marco and I are too close. We're in Marco's bedroom. In my house.
Do we want to know about that?
I think we're better to just go with one.
Yeah.
I think we can do together, right?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also.
Part of them shows.
Sorry?
Gruppe, du sollst ein Part auf dem Schoß hocken. I'm saying the Gruppe should sit in Pat's knee.
It's going to be a puppet.
Right, can you hear us all right?
Tell him not to drink Pat's wine.
No, he's steering clear of the wine tonight. He's on the Corona.
All right. Well, guys, we started off on the topic of the S&P conference, mainly basically Nicola's speech. I haven't seen that much more than Nicola's speech, actually. You started us off, Colin. Did you have any more to say on that?
No, I was finished my point.
All right. Graham, did you watch the anything from conference and especially Nicola's speech?
No, it wasn't on the TV as far as I knew. I didn't know it was broadcast.
No, the World Champion Snooker was on, and the BBC decided that was more important than 2,000 Scots gathered together to discuss Scotland's future.
That's about
that was BBC One Scotland and the BBC channel.
Hold on, guys.
The praises on the snooker was Nicola's speech at Holyrood last week. I think it wasn't even snooker, it was something like Escapes the Country, Songs of Praise or something.
Yeah.
But the BBC are advertising the Tory press conference this week. So they're going to plan to show that. They've got that message out there. They've got Ruth Davidson out on the doors again of our telly boxes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll say there, the Tory press conference, because that's all it's going to be. It's going to be like Shane Anthony's dug in the room.
Yes. There was a lovely wee meme was sent to me tonight of our Ruth, and it goes something like, "I'm a little teapot, short and stout. I open my mouth and
it comes out." I actually made a T-shirt of that on Teasley.
Right, on the SNP conference.
Yeah.
Can I come in on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the SNP conference, a lot of good things come out here, such as the assistance to those who cannot afford to get on the property ladder of up to £25,000 loan. Fantastic. There was a few other things, but the announcement that now is the time for Scotland's independence, I agree with, but it can be perceived, or could be perceived, that it's simply kicking the can down the road. And because of the insistence on having a Section 30, which we know Westminster is going to refuse, and Nicola's insistence on there will only be a referendum if it's of the gold standard that 2014 was. And if that's gold standard, I really have we're going to have to go platinum or better. Because 2014, as we know, folks, was as corrupt as it could ever be. And is there the possibility that if she isn't given the Section 30 agreement, because we won't call it the Edinburgh Agreement because it'll be something else, should we, the independence movement, all sections of, insist on putting the pressure to have that referendum delivered before the 2021 Scottish elections or general election? Because if we don't, and it can be used simply to kick it down the road further to the 2021 elections, because the statement made was that there will be a referendum before 2021. So we have to highlight that to the movement. If by September 2020 there has been no announcement, it is likely they will carry that over to 2021 elections. And there is no guarantee in 2021 that we will have a pro-independence majority, especially if the SNP insist on SNP 1, SNP 2. I think it's 2021's the Scottish parliamentary elections, is it?
Yeah.
Aye. Yeah. So we have to have a strategy and rules within which, and the Greens and the SNP are almost there, whereby SNP are the lone independence party standing for election in the region, in the constituency seats, and either Green, Solidarity, SSP, any pro-independence party will stand on the list. And we combine our efforts to deliver the maximum number of pro-independence parties to the Scottish Parliament. And should we gain a majority, this is my manifesto coming out by the way, guys, should we gain that absolute majority of up to 110 pro-independence MSPs, we shall enact the Declaration of our Growth and make Scotland free.
Amen. Well,
that's been quite a lot to put in, so guys, fire away.
No, well, what you said...
I think the one thing, Pat, where I would agree with you, what you're saying, it could be seen as kicking the can down the road, especially with this tying it down to Section 30. I think at the same time, listening to that speech, there was a call to action. And the call to
totally agree with you.
Very much for the independence movement, irrespective of whether you support the SNP or not, if you support Scottish independence, and maybe you hate the SNP, that's fair enough too. We're working in a common goal, and what we have to do is galvanise folk now, maybe starting in Glasgow this weekend, to make it more difficult for a Westminster government, whoever might be there when the time comes, to refuse a Section 30 request. I don't like the idea of Section 30 myself, but one thing that we can guarantee is if we can get the movement growing, show our support, then if the UK government then does turn around and say, you're not going to get your Section 30. We had Ruth come out yesterday saying that any future government should refuse a Section 30 order. Well, let them try that, and let them do that when we've got 65% of folk in Scotland saying we want the referendum. Let them tell us that now is not the time, and then see what happens.
Well, we actually, right at this point, we have 65% of the nation, because that Scotland and Union poll that showed support for independence jumping from 45 to 49 without a campaign excluded 16 and 17-year-olds and Europeans who will be able to vote.
Yep.
We're on the 65 and more, I think.
And that's why the upcoming events are so important, because it's got to be down to us in the movement. I mean, again, I know that not everybody can make the marches. They can't make all the marches, they can't make any marches. That's fine. But in day-to-day life, we've got to get the show on the road. That's a very simple thing. It's what everybody can do to the best of their ability, what they can, and then we'll have a snowball effect where the Tories can't turn around. Red Tories, blue Tories, yellow Tories. They won't be able to turn around and say there is no appetite for an independence referendum, because we will be out there on the streets, shutting doors, down the pub, at the workplace, saying there is an appetite. Now is the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If getting back to the timeline, basically, I got a lot out of that speech by Nicola. I think it was a heartwarming speech, but I do think that they will now go for the referendum, because if they don't, they actually did put forth a timeline now. If it's not within this parliamentary period, and they will take it over to the election, they're going to have a lot of problems. They're going to be in shitload of problems, pardon my French. That's just my opinion.
Right, I'm not going to come back in here. I'm going to let the other guys have a go. I took up too much of your time.
Before...
As I said, as I'm in the Facebook land tonight, I just want to chip in with everyone that's commenting. Thanks again for taking the time to join our conversation. Tina, Maggie, we've got Jim commenting on the SNP conference. I felt there was a lot of talk during Nicola's speech, but with no specific mention on an actual date, how long we are waiting, how long we're going to wait in reality. And to tie that in, just to put a moment piece, I said I'm keeping an eye on all the Facebook stuff tonight, so everyone remember to like, share, comment, react. It's all your engagements online that help us get this message out there and beat a lot of these Facebook algorithms.
Also, Ian, also a mention for Indie Live and Indie Radio, Indie Live Radio.
Indie Live, Indie Radio. I was going to tie into that when we were talking about some of these crowdfunding that Indie Radio are looking to do. But listen, everyone that's taken the time to share, it's much appreciated. There's a lot of people simulcast this. A lot of people want to spread a positive message about independence. And there's a lot of groups out there. So if you like this page, we'll continue to share them, link you into them. And I think we don't need a Section 30 order. Simple as that. We know the outcome is we'll have an independence referendum on the assumption that the UK leaves Europe. That is the trigger for the IndyRef, and that will be challenged in the courts by England. We can challenge it in the courts in the UN. It will ultimately come down to those individual factors of dealing with it in the legal process. The grassroots movement is growing day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, and we're going to get there, and we are getting there, and we're going to see it in Glasgow in the streets this Saturday, just how close we are to getting there. So yeah, we will have a referendum by 21, and the Tories can go and ram themselves if they think the Section 30 order is going to stop it.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, you forgot to mention, Ian, that Tina Juneman, she is online. She said, "Hi, Krupak." You got a hi from Tina.
Krupak, you want to make a contribution?
If we go eventually viral, we can't read out every single comment.
No, I got you.
There's a lot of hellos, and some of the names I can't pronounce as well. Doesn't help.
No, no, I know, but he's not on that much, so that's why I said it.
It's difficult to follow you. You speak so fast.
Sorry about that. Now
English.
Tina said hi to you. Tina Juneman. She said hi to you.
Okay, hi.
So do you want to make it? Guys, can I bring Marco in? Do you want to add to the conversation?
Yeah, I just want to listen to you, and if I have to say anything, I want to say it. Okay?
All right.
Yeah.
Krupa, also, I'm here. We can translate if necessary.
Sorry?
Colin's here to translate if necessary.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else has to say something about the conference or Nicola's speech?
Graham?
No, well, I never heard the speech, but I think, we have. Obviously, as we all know, I don't do politics as much as you guys, but what I'm kind of hearing in the media is we need to get it done by 2021 because Ruth Davidson's going to be the First Minister. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to have to get rid of you guys.
You could be. You could
never get fed up with the music. Do some stand-up comedy.
No, but it was in the newspapers. It was on
Guys, you have to. Graham, you could be close to the truth because the British political machine, is promoting Ruth Davidson coming back into Scottish politics, as well as they promoted Nigel Farage, and are promoting Nigel Farage and his new Brexit party that was formed only a month ago, and they are reporting to the public that Nigel Farage will and his Brexit team will win seats. This is unheard of. A party that forms less than a month from knowing that there will be European elections is touted to be winning at least 24. This is the British state at this point, and that will be rammed down the throat of the electorate. And they did it in the last European election, and we ended up with fat Davy Coburn. And that's not a derogatory statement to anyone who may be fat. So, but
it's not fat. It's pleasantly.
Sorry, Raymond. Unpleasantly plump. Unpleasantly. A man of no capability whatsoever, speaking on behalf of part of the Scottish population. What did he ever do in the 5 years that he's been in Europe? Guys, we need to get our heads together and wake up. We are electing buffoons. Buffoons. A guy that couldn't hold a conversation. I'm not the greatest in the world, but I'd certainly speak him off the table. We have to get it across to the electorate that these people do not deserve and should never be elected. They are being promoted by the British state media.
Definitely.
Yep, I mean, you're absolutely right there, Pat. I mean, we have the media hype at the minute. First of all, with the Brexit Party for Farage, and second of all, with Ruthie coming back from maternity leave. There was a post I shared on Twitter earlier on, some day 3 of a Ruth spectacular. We will be flame testing her unwanted baby box. But again, I think this is something that we have to be aware of. We know what is going on in the media. We know about it. And that is why it is important, again, to go back to what I said before, that we see Nicola's speech on Sunday as a call to action, that it's up to us to get out there and get the word out. We do a show every Wednesday night. We've got folk going on high streets up and down the country, manning stands every weekend. We've got folk sharpening doors, we've got folk leafleting. We've got a great creative team behind us, thinking about Indie Poster Boy, thinking about wee scribbles, and we need to all come together and get the message out, because we know the media won't be doing it for us.
No.
The mainstream media won't be doing it for
Hell
us.
Well, as we say,
speaking of the message in front, if I could, I was just going to say, big shout out to everyone on the Facebook land. Raven's tripping in with the quicker we are free, the better. Tina giving a wee saltire there, and Maggie Brannan saying you're being too polite, Pat, when you're obviously referencing yourself in your speaking earlier on. Just remember, guys, on Facebook, give us a like, give us a share, give us a comment, give us a reaction. Everything to help us beat the Facebook algorithms and help us spread the positive message. And I just wanted to say as well quickly, this is, we need to link these Facebook groups, we need to link these radio stations, we need to link all the outsources of pro-independence, because the unionist shite is going to come thick and fast, and we're already seeing it. We need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get all the messages out there, and make sure that we're having the conversations on the doorsteps, with our families around the tables, everywhere, on the streets of Glasgow on Saturday.
I'll add to that, Ian. I would add to that, the SNP need to connect with the Yes movement, because we are a power to be reckoned with. If we can harness the effort and the mobility of the Yes movement, not only for the SNP but for the Greens, for any political party, Solidarity, SSP, Rise, whatever, we can come together and promote each other for the benefit of the nation.
Exactly.
100%.
I don't think that was done. I don't think that was done previously, but it should be done now. There should be coordination, agreement.
Well, look at the Brexit process.
Together.
Look at the 2.5 years that we've gone through Brexit in Westminster, and we're sitting in a position at the moment where we've now got, after 2.5 years, Labour and the Conservatives finally sitting around the table together. But the SNP aren't sitting around that table, the Clyde Cymru aren't sitting around that table, the DUP I'm sure are there in some way, shape or form. So we are in a position where we've got to unite the SNP with all the other Yes movements. We've done it quite well in the Parliament with the Scottish Greens.
No, you're missing. I'm going to come in there, Ian. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. We need to unite the Yes movement. Independence is not and will not ever be about the SNP. Independence is about the independence movement coming together to support the SNP as the political arm.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Pat. I mean, again, it's something that we've been seeing getting in the getting a wee bit better than it was a while back. When we think back to Glasgow last year, we had on the same day as the Glasgow March, we had the hustings in Glasgow for the SNP deputy leadership, and the 3 candidates were all in Glasgow. We've seen, for example, Tommy Shepherd getting up on stage and talking. We've seen in other marches around the country, local MPs and MSPs from the SNP joining in. So it's moving in the right direction, but what I would absolutely agree with you with is that the SNP has to be, and I think they are, but they have to be aware of the fact that they are not the only independence movement out there.
Yeah.
The independence movement is a grassroots movement. It's about the people of Scotland. And as I say, there's going to be folk, maybe folk watching tonight, who say, I want independence, but I don't like the SNP. And that is fine, because that's what democracy is about. The SNP has to engage, and it has to, I think, do a bit more and maybe step up the ante a wee bit on the marches and rallies and other things. They've got the new Yes website that they set up last week, but it is an Yes SNP website. Now, that is good. It's getting a lot of success. I personally, I run the Germans for Independence Twitter account, and I have a problem with sharing that link because the Germans for Independence is a non-political organisation. I personally am a member of the SNP, but when I am tweeting as Germans for Scottish Independence, I'm not tweeting as an SNP member. I'm tweeting as somebody representing, if you like, Germans and Scots in Germany, Germans in Scotland in favour of independence. And so I can't retweet that account. And we need to grow the movement on a non-party political basis.
Yeah, similar to Yes Scotland, but with more bite. With cooperation between the different groups in the Yes movement. Think about this. If we could harness the activity and the productivity of the Yes movement to drive the support for the main political wing of the Yes movement, which is the SNP, we could deliver 59 in any general election. And I'm pretty sure if we focus any future general election, which might come even before 2021, if we could harness that unity, we could drive, and we stood, or the SNP stood, on a manifesto of a simple majority of MPs returned to Westminster, as Maggie Thatcher stated, then we don't need a referendum. We don't need a referendum, and that's the way out of it. Because I'm hoping with hope that there will be a total breakdown in Westminster, and there will be a general election. And if there is a general election, then we, the Scottish Yes movement, should instruct our representation to stand on the basis of independence on returning 50.1% or 50% plus 1. Independence will be enacted. Now's the time for Scotland, yes, to be independent, but it is also the time for radical action.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what Nicola's done is reinvigorated my appetite to get out there and do something.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
Because I need a translation, Colin. Colin.
Yeah.
Because what I have to say is better than I say it in German, and Colin translated.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Ich sehe eine Basis, einen kleinsten gemeinsamen Nenner in einer großen Bewegung.
He's saying he's seeing the common denominator in a larger movement.
Und ich sehe die Wichtigkeit einer Tatsache jetzt, und zwar so schnell wie möglich, noch vor dem Brexit, ein Referendum ins Leben zu rufen.
It's important now, as soon as possible, ideally even before Brexit, to announce another referendum.
Denn wenn wir erst 2020 oder 2021 versuchen, ein Referendum anzustrengen, dann kommen wir dazu, dass die britische Regierung ganz, ganz große und viel Kraft in Antikampagnen stellen kann.
Because if we wait till 2020 or 2021, after Brexit, the British government isn't going to be quite so waylaid and will have more energy, more power to act against an independence referendum.
Und genau das ist der Punkt, dass eigentlich jeder Mensch in Schottland und außerhalb natürlich auch, der für die Unabhängigkeit ist. Und das sollte eigentlich jeder Schotte sein und jede Schottin, dass wir uns darauf besinnen müssen, dass wir einen kleinsten gemeinsamen Nenner finden. Dieser kleinste gemeinsame Nenner ist die Unabhängigkeit. Und genau das ist das, was wir anstreben müssen, unabhängig von irgendwelchen politischen Bestrebungen, was jetzt Parteien angeht, was politische Bewegungen angeht. Es gibt einen kleinsten gemeinsamen Nenner, der heißt Unabhängigkeit, und das ist dieser kleine Fokus, auf den wir uns zu konzentrieren haben.
And that's why we have to look for the common denominator, irrespective of political parties, irrespective of any other political viewpoints. The one common denominator we all have is independence, and everybody in Scotland and folk outside of Scotland, Cropper says, from his point of view, everybody in Scotland, it should be a no-brainer to be in favour of independence. That is what we have to concentrate on, this common denominator, that we have independence as a goal, and that is what we should work towards.
Exactly.
Wir haben uns nur und ausschließlich auf das Thema Unabhängigkeit zu konzentrieren, unabhängig von arm oder reich, links oder rechts, vorerst natürlich. Wir haben uns darauf zu konzentrieren, dass wir die Unabhängigkeit erreichen, und danach, um mal mit den Worten von Rudi Dutschke zu reden, danach können wir uns unterhalten, wie wir die Unabhängigkeit gestalten. Zunächst aber haben wir uns darauf zu konzentrieren, wie wir die Unabhängigkeit erreichen. Und das sollte das oberste und wichtigste Ding und Thema sein. Und dann können wir uns unterhalten, wie wir das Ganze gestalten.
We have to concentrate on independence, irrespective of rich or poor, left or right. We have to concentrate on the one goal of independence initially, get our independence, and then when we're independent, he quoted German Rudi Dutschke, once we are independent, then we can start the discussion about how things actually then pan out, what kind of Scotland we want. But the initial goal, the common denominator, is the goal of independence.
Exactly. I would like to add to that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Marco.
Mal das Wort.
Ja.
Aber zunächst sollten wir uns so bald als möglich versuchen, das Referendum anzustreben. Nicht erst 2021, nicht erst 2020, sondern so bald als möglich, bestenfalls noch vor dem Brexit. Also jetzt haben die bestimmt.
So again, he's repeating, we have to concentrate and have to focus on trying to get the referendum as soon as possible, not wait until 2020 or 2021, ideally before Brexit. First thing, referendum, and get this over the line.
Yeah, basically set up a single issue party.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just before I hand over to you, if it's all right with yourself, Raymond, saying hello to the Facebook land, 16 viewers tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Remember, like, share, comment. You can hit that reaction button as much as you like. Gives us a chance to understand what your opinions are on the subject matters. So yeah, we have got a phenomenal breadth within the Yes movement now, but I would argue, we see a lot of SNP bad in the media. I think in the Yes movement we do a lot of SNP bad as well, because if I look at things like, we didn't have a pro radio station for independence until after 2014. We didn't have a pro newspaper on independence until after 2014. We didn't have a lot of these marches until after pro 2014, when All Under One Banner organised it. And some of the mistakes that happened in 2014, let's remember the biggest problem was the currency. The currency was one of the key deciding factors, and it should never have boiled down to that. We can use whatever money is in our pocket, whatever way. It was because the SNP didn't have a plan on currency that we were ultimately let down. We are now in a position where the SNP are laying the groundwork for the next referendum. They're laying the groundwork for the currency plans. They're laying the groundwork for a central bank. We need to vote for the SNP on a political front, because they are the political arm of the independence movement. But it is up to us as individuals to keep growing our grassroots media, our grassroots organisations, our grassroots conversations, and keep that message going there. Sorry, I'll crack over, Raymond. But yeah, remember, Facebook, like, share, comment, react.
Can I just maybe jump in here very quickly on the currency?
No, Raymond, no. Raymond, on you go.
What I wanted to add to what Marcus said, we need to come together, and I would like to call on the entire Yes movement as well. And I've said this before, but please stop having these enormous egos and bad mouthing your fellow Yes brothers and sisters. It doesn't help the cause at all if you go online and just sit behind your keyboard and just go off on your fellow Yes movement members. It doesn't help the cause. It also doesn't help the cause if you say, I'm not going to that event because so and so is speaking, or I don't want to share a platform with so and so. We should stand together. All of the Yes movement should stand together. And if as soon as independence has been achieved, you can vote, like, dislike anybody you want, basically. And that's just...
Raymond, we could teach the world a lesson here.
Yeah.
We could teach the world a lesson.
Yeah.
We come together for that single cause, and we, in doing so, show respect to each other. Yeah?
Exactly.
So we show that respect. We can then, where other countries have become independent and fell into the pit of civil war, we have built up respect for each other. And we can then continue that respect with disagreement on how Scotland should go forward. But we do it by vocalising and discussing.
Exactly.
We don't do it the same as we don't take our independence by violence. We take our independence by the stroke of a pen.
Yeah.
We can show each other respect. We can show each other comradeship. And we can show each other we will listen.
Exactly.
And we will come to an agreement without violence.
Exactly.
If we can do this concept of taking our independence peacefully, we can build our country peacefully.
Exactly.
By simply accepting, coming together and expressing our wishes and then agreeing the way forward.
Yeah.
We could eliminate the need for violence and the need for imposition of one idea or ideology against the other.
Yeah, and I would add to that also is an advice to people: if somebody puts a post like that online, just don't feed the ego. just don't react to it. It will die out, so don't even engage in that. Before I hand over to Colin, because you wanted to react as well, we talked about Independence Live. The show is being simulcasted on the Independence Live page and site. There's also a crowdfund to help them keep transmitting all kinds of shows, including ours. So please go to their site, go to their page, and if you can, make a wee donation so they can continue the good work that they do. Colin.
Can I come in there?
Yeah.
Raymond, there are 1.6 million. 1.6 million known yes supporters. If you put 10 pence in, 10 pence each.
Yeah.
16,000 or 106. I don't know what the math says.
160.
But it will be enough.
Yeah. Exactly.
It will be enough.
See, on the money side of things, on the money side of things, if you look at the SNP as a party, prior to the 2014 referendum, they had a membership base of somewhere with 32,000.
Yeah, around about that.
They're now sitting at well over 100,000. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons. The reason that group, because I just wanted to something that Colin had said earlier on. If you want to take a negative political stance and sharing content, that's up to you. I have that same opinion when it comes to some of the mainstream media push that gets sent out there. But what I want to see happening is I want to have a position where we are sharing the right message. The SNP is now starting to put some of that money into its Facebook advertising campaigns. It's created that group and it's put it out there. But just before I hand over to our guest from Germany, I just want to say on the chat, thanks again everyone for stopping by. Cheers for all your comments and engagements. Everything you do online, be it a reaction, be it a share, all helps us spread our positive growth message about the positives for Scottish independence, and we can have the chats about how we get there. Maud, SNP are the route to independence. Maggie, it's not about party, it's about independence. Maggie saying well done, and Tina saying well said, Pat. So thanks again for all your comments. Continue it.
Well, Colin was about to say something a while back. So,
Yeah.
Colin, will you go first, please? And then Marco.
Crowdfund Independence Live. We've been speaking tonight and also obviously in previous weeks about how the mainstream media will not be pushing the independence message. We know that. Independence Live, they do a great job. They have folk out there, again, grassroots. They stream events. I was watching the Independence Live stream for Jerry from the Stornoway March last Saturday. I loved it. It was great. Independence Live, they've streamed both events so far in The Hague. They streamed both our events that we've had in Berlin. And they managed, they've got a small group of volunteers, I stress volunteers, who are getting out there. If there's an interesting meeting, if there's an interesting, maybe a yes group meeting on a Wednesday or a Thursday night, they will stream it if they can. And they try and get folk out there to broadcast what's happening. They try and talk to folk as well. It's not just a wee guy with a camera. We had best example again going back to Stornoway last Saturday. Jerry was talking to folk, speaking to folk in the march, same as Pat was doing in Berlin, same as Jerry did in The Hague last year. And this is something that you won't see in mainstream media. And it's maybe a very banal point, but at the end of the day, use it or lose it, but support it or lose it. Independence Live are trying to bring things across to folk. They're available, but they do need some money. They're moving to new offices because the wee broom cupboard they're in at the minute just isn't big enough. They've now got a live radio station where you can literally listen to independence radio 24/7 every day of the week. There's a great show every night between 9 and 12 Scottish time with Jabberwocky. It's including great music, great banter. There's a small group of folk that are always on there. He does a wee music quiz on the air. It's 10 and 11. Guess the year, guess the song, just for a bit of fun. Please listen to the BBC any day of the week. Also got information for Kevin Gibney from Independence Live that when it comes to the EU elections, they will be covering the EU count in Glasgow. They will be having live radio shows on the EU elections before they take place, trying to encourage folk to get voting. They're doing a great job, guys. And it doesn't take a lot, so if you can, support them.
Exactly.
Before you pay your BBC licence fee, put the money into Independence Live, because they are doing a great job. They need your money, but believe me, it is money well spent.
Definitely.
And just tell you another thing.
100%.
The last crowdfund that Independence Live did was a few months back, and it was they're always very slow to start off, and it was getting down to the deadline. We were talking about 4 or 5 hours, and still a couple of £1,000 needed. And I know at the time, because I try to support them as much as I can on Twitter. We was getting to squeaky bum time. We go over the line, folk. Let's not wait. I don't know how long the crowdfund is going on for. I think till the end of May or something. But let's not wait. Let's get the money in now, and let's ensure the future of Independence Live now. We don't need to wait 3 weeks. Get out in there. As Bob Geldof famously said, give us your fucking money.
Marco, did you want to say something? Because you put your hand up earlier.
Ja, ich brauche die Übersetzung. Es ist natürlich jetzt schon eine Weile her, als ich was sagen wollte. Aber was ich sagen wollte, Colin, kannst du übersetzen, ja?
Ich bin da, ja. Passt.
Okay, cool. Ich höre immer S&P und ich weiß natürlich, dass die S&P sehr, sehr wichtig ist für die Unabhängigkeitsbewegung als Vertreter im Parlament.
Mark is going back to a point that we made previously when he wanted to join in. And he says he's been hearing SNP all the time, and he knows that the SNP is important, especially as parliamentary representatives.
Ja, genau. Aber für mich als Anarchist und dann auch noch aus Deutschland, der natürlich auch nicht den Einblick in die Details hat der schottischen Politik oder Vertretungspolitik im britischen Parlament, ist es schwer nachzuvollziehen, warum sich so sehr konzentriert wird auf die SNP, wenn es doch eine große Bewegung gibt.
As a German anarchist, he's saying, yeah, sure, they've got the political representatives, but why are folk concentrating the SNP when we're talking about a large grassroots movement?
Wenn wir das versuchen zu vergleichen, natürlich.
Ian.
Can you let finish before you jump in, please?
Yeah. Go ahead, Marco. Go ahead.
Okay. Wenn wir das versuchen zu vergleichen, und natürlich ist es ein bisschen schwierig, das mit früheren Zeiten zu vergleichen. Wenn wir was vergleichen mit der spanischen Revolution zum Beispiel, da gab es 3, 4, 5 Parteien. Und dann gab es noch eine große Nation, Russland, die sich eingemischt haben. Aber das war genau der Fehler der großen Unabhängigkeitsbewegung, der anarchistischen Bewegung in Spanien zwischen 33 und 39, was das Ganze kaputt gemacht hat. Dass man sich nicht bis zum Ende konzentriert hat auf den kleinsten gemeinsamen Nenner. Das ist genau das, was ich vorhin schon sagte.
He's going back to the Spanish Civil War. You had back in the day, you had 3 or 4 parties that were effectively all working for the same thing, and obviously you had folk from outside, foreign powers that were also getting involved. But the biggest mistake that was made between 1933 and 39 was that these 4 political parties who were all wanting the same thing failed to keep the common goal in front of their eyes and got bogged down in other matters.
Und genau das ist das, was ich beobachte bei vielen Unabhängigkeitsbewegungen. Ob das Palästina ist, ob das Kurdistan ist, ob das die Zapatisten sind oder eben die schottische, dass es immer wieder so Differenzierungen gibt, immer wieder verschiedene Richtungen. Und im Laufe einer Bewegung, während die Bewegung wächst, gibt es immer wieder irgendwie so Abspaltungen. Und genau das ist der Fehler der Bewegung. Wir haben verdammt nochmal uns darauf zu konzentrieren, dass die Unabhängigkeit erreicht wird. Und danach, das ist genau das, was ich vorhin schon sagte, danach können wir uns darüber unterhalten, wie ein unabhängiges Schottland gestaltet werden kann. Aber zunächst haben wir alle, die SNP, die Graswurzelbewegung, jede andere Partei, jeder einzelne Mensch, wir haben uns darauf zu konzentrieren, die Unabhängigkeit zu erreichen und erst dann zu diskutieren, was nach dem Erreichen der Unabhängigkeit passieren wird.
Ja.
Looking over the world in other countries as well, like Palestine and Kurdistan, there is always going to be in any independence movement, there is always going to be splits of some shape or form. And that is the biggest mistake that we can make. What we have to do in Scotland is concentrate, going back to what we were saying before, on the common denominator, the common goal of independence, and afterwards, once we're independent again, then we can talk about what form an independent Scotland will take. But right now, it's not a case of whether you're SNP, Green, Solidarity, Scottish Socialist, or whatever. We have one common goal, and that's what we have to work together to achieve.
Exactly.
Zunächst haben wir die Freiheit zu erreichen und dann schauen wir, wie wir die Freiheit gestalten. Und das sollte natürlich freilich internationalistisch, solidarisch und ohne Rassismus passieren.
Freedom first. Once we have our freedom, then we can talk about how we take it forward, and that should be international solidarity. Solidarity is not the one I'm looking for, because that's a party. Working together and
cooperation,
racism, cooperative. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
I think a question that I always get asked. I was just going to say, I think a question always comes up is, see, with the whole independence movement, you know, why are we pro-independence, pro-EU, anti-EU? These are all things that can be answered afterwards. These are all questions that can happen once we get independence.
Ian, why are we pro-European? I'll tell you what the SNP will tell you, and I agree with it.
Pro-European to stop Europe going to war. To unify the people, to unify working regulations, trades.
This is more important than that. This is more important than that. Within this,
so why the SNP tying the SNP? Why are they tying the actual vote?
Guys.
I think my answer will explain that. My answer to that is, within the family of nations that is called the UK, Westminster controls and imposes 83% of our laws. And I've just recently realised this. Europe affects, because being a member of Europe, you have a veto. So if you don't agree to something, you can veto it, because it takes all 28, 29, whatever number of members to put a law through. They must all agree that law. And as I was going to say, Europe only affects 11 to 13% of our direct laws. There is the reason that I have changed from being a socialist who wants to come out on socialist grounds, not xenophobic grounds, not bigoted grounds, but on socialist grounds. I have the means as an independent nation within the European Union to say no. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Completely. And when you're talking about the powers as well, EU have responsibility for anywhere between 10 and 15 of the ultimate lawmaking decisions. And as you said, we have the veto process, we have that power. Europe is about working together. Westminster is about working against Scotland. It has been for 312 years to this date.
Exactly.
We are today. Who's celebrating the Year of the Union? I want to know. I've not seen us. It might be because of my Facebook algorithms, but I've not seen a single person doing a share. And I know I've got a lot of unionists that still are on my Facebook. Not one person promoting it, messaging it, because the union doesn't have a lot of positives. It's done a lot of great things. You can look at history, you can look at what we've achieved with wars, with all sorts of everything. But ultimately, we are a prisoner. We are the last remaining prisoner of the Great British Empire.
Yeah.
So I look forward to the Act of Union being ended.
We are
the last remaining ones.
I've counted.
So the last cash cow.
I've counted 2 people that I'm aware of today who have been celebrating the 312th anniversary of the Act of Union. One of them was Ross Thompson, and one of them was John Lamont. Now, I say, enough said.
All right, guys. I would like to move on. Next Saturday, we'll hopefully see a even bigger march and rally than it was, number-wise, than it was in Edinburgh, in Glasgow. Who of you is going to be there?
Yeah, well, we have Marco here, all the way from Pusnik in Germany.
2 Marcos.
2 Marcos. We
Marcos,
have Loudy, and we have Elizabeth, Ronnie's wife, to be tomorrow. That's something we'll discuss next week, folks.
Definitely.
But Ronnie and Marco and Loudy and Elizabeth have come over representing the Germans for independence.
Awesome.
We were there in March.
Yep.
We were in Berlin in March. Thankfully, with there's too many things popping up here. With Colin and Marco Gorlach, who organised a most successful march and rally through Berlin.
Yeah.
So successful that they had more people marching in Berlin than Mr. Nigel Farage had in his paid march to Westminster demanding Brexit. Folks, some people say, what is the point? What is the point of us marching in Berlin? The point of us marching in Berlin is to show the country that we have support. And we have comrades and friends supporting us right across the European Union. They do not wish us to go, just as the Scottish people, with a 62%.
Guys, hold on. It looks like no.
Are we down?
Well, it says so on my phone, but on the feed, and now it's back. I think. Now we're back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Back?
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
I'll try and take up where I left
Some of
off.
those
Sorry,
Facebook
folks.
gremlins.
Yeah.
Facebook gremlins, algorithms, whatever you want to call it, MI5, MI6. we're on the radar.
Am I
because
wrong?
We speak positively. We speak positively. But the thread I was on there was that we have support around the world, not just Europe. Not just Europe.
Yeah.
And we're back on. Kevin's just let us know that we're back on. So we have support around the world, and in our small way, by including ourselves in these action days and rally days in the Netherlands, we are keeping that connection for our nation. It may not be the massive rallies in Glasgow or Edinburgh or Dundee or Inverness or Galashiels or Campbelltown where we're going this year, but we are still connected to our brothers and sisters around the world, and especially in Europe.
Definitely.
And that is important.
That is the reason why, personally, before the independence movement, Colin, vielleicht kannst du wieder übersetzen, ich kann es einfach besser in Deutsch sagen.
Go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
Warum ich als deutscher Anarchist die Unabhängigkeitsbewegung in Schottland unterstütze, und ich das vergleiche, das hat das vorhin verglichen und vergleiche das immer wieder auch mit der Bewegung in den 30er Jahren in Spanien.
That's basically the reason why Marco, as a German anarchist, will always support the Scottish independence movement, and he always comes back to comparing it with the situation in Spain in the 1930s.
Und wir haben jetzt, und ich unterstütze es auch als Künstler, als Intellektueller, wir haben jetzt die Chance, eine Nation zu einer Nation zu erheben, die eine friedliche, die eine internationalistische, die eine solidarische Nation ist, die wir auch von außen unterstützen können, wir als Künstler, als Intellektuelle.
We have the chance now to have a country, Scotland, which is international, which is cooperative, which is progressive, and where from other countries the artists, the intellectuals can also support what is coming in Scotland.
Weil es eben eine noch friedliche, zum Glück noch friedliche Bewegung ist, eine friedliche Revolution ist, die wir zu unterstützen haben. Und wenn ich sage wir, dann meine ich wir Intellektuellen, wir Künstler, wir Schriftsteller, wir Anarchisten, wir Sozialisten, wir linksdenkende Menschen weltweit.
Because it's the opportunity to have a peaceful revolution, and that is why Marco says intellectuals, artists, authors, left-wing folk can and must support this movement, no matter where you're from.
Exactly.
That's the international support, basically, that we've been talking about, that Paul's just been talking about.
Damit wir eben nicht erst in die Situation kommen, einen Bürgerkrieg oder in einen Bürgerkrieg gehen zu müssen, wie das viele Intellektuelle gemacht haben in den 30er Jahren in Spanien, sondern damit wir eben eine internationalistische Nation haben, die als Beispiel, als absolute Beispielnation allen anderen, hoffentlich kommenden Nationen weltweit vorsteht, sodass wir selbst die Europäische Union nur als Zwischenschritt begreifen können. Zu sagen, die EU ist ein Zwischenschritt hin zu einer friedvollen Welt, freier Nationen, die solidarisch und internationalistisch existieren.
In the 1930s in Spain, many of the intellectuals ended up getting drawn into a civil war. That's not the situation we're looking at in Scotland. And by supporting Scottish independence, is the opportunity to show what an international country can be like, and maybe see the European Union as just a stepping stone, maybe holding up Scotland as being a bit of a leading light for maybe other future independent countries on the common way forward for an international viewpoint.
Yeah.
Graham. Hey, there he is. About especially, are you going to be in Glasgow? Are you playing there?
Yes, I'm going to be in Glasgow. Yes.
All right. Graham also was in The Hague the last 2 years of the event in The Hague. Oh no, were you there 2 years in a row or just last year?
No, last year.
Yeah, that's right. He was there last year. What do you think about Europe, the events in Europe? About the importance of it?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and it would be great if there was more people over there. Unfortunately, cost probably plays a big part in that. But yeah, no, it is like Marco was saying, for people across Europe to be joining together, for not only for this reason, for many reasons, because I think a lot of people get sort of tied into the situation that we're all different. And actually, when you meet people from foreign countries, you see that we've all lived the same lives through the same problems. We're all the same people. And I think people getting out there and meeting people from other countries is always a good thing. It's the one thing that will stop wars.
Definitely. Well, the thing is, when we last year's event, I talked to Pat about this. The initial thought, it's so easy to feel down about numbers at an event. And there were about 70 people there or something like that in the March that is. And there were a lot of people, or relatively a lot of people, walking by that had nothing to do with the event, and were just interacting with us, asking what it was about, and why were we there, and they were really interested in what we had to say, and really engaging with us. And Pat said, the numbers aren't that high, but it's about getting the message across, and you did it. You set up this event, and actually the year before the first event, the best comment that I could have had was this Scottish lady that lived in the northern part of the Netherlands. She came up to me in actually Ned Kelly's, nice shirt by the way. She said, I've never been able to go to one of these marches and rallies. I never was able to, and you gave that to me.
Yeah.
And
numbers never matter. What matters in these events is that we get our message across.
I think the numbers do matter.
No. We have to, if we don't carry out these events around Europe, then Europe does not know the passion, the commitment, and the dire need for Scottish independence.
Yeah.
So no matter what the numbers, on you go, Paul.
Taking both your points, numbers do matter in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yes. We need to get as many folk as possible out at the various rallies and marches this year to show our appetite for independence. On the European events, I'm absolutely with you, Pat. We had about 100 in the rally in Berlin. I personally was quite happy with that. That was round about what I was hoping, thinking, estimating. In Europe, it's a different kettle of fish. In Europe, it's a case of getting the message out to a wider audience who don't normally see what's going on. You won't get German media normally talking about Scottish independence just because it's the same. You wouldn't get a Scottish media talking about independence movement in Schleswig-Holstein because they just So there's two points. I mean, and again, to maybe go back to your point, Pat, earlier on, we've got two Marcos, one with his wife, one with his wife-to-be, coming over or already in Scotland.
He doesn't know.
In Glasgow for this weekend's match.
Just one.
You said it earlier. I thought, oh, okay, well, fine. I'm talking about a different one. I'm talking about a different Marco.
Three Marcos.
We're talking about coming over to Scotland and showing our support as well. Germans for Independence. We've divided ourselves up a wee bit this year. Last year, we all went as one big group to Glasgow. This year, I'll say, two Marcos are going to be in Glasgow. I'll be in The Hague again on Ryman's event. Looking forward to it big time. I'll then be going on to Galashiels. I'm hoping to get a chance to speak at the event in Galashiels. I'm still waiting to hear back from the folk that organise it.
Don't worry about that, Colin. They haven't organised it Galashiels as yet, so you will hear.
I'm also hoping to come over to another couple of events over the course of the year, and I'm quite sure that both the Marcos will be doing the same if they have the opportunity, maybe going back to Scotland, because the important thing for the Germans for independence is to show their solidarity with the independence movement. Now, I'm for Scotland. You might maybe guess that. Marco isn't. Again, you might have guessed that, the fact I was translating for him. The fact remains, we all live in Germany. We all support Scottish independence. And we want to write it on our flags that the support in Germany for Scottish independence is there.
Exactly.
We've got your backs.
All right, guys. Well, we went an hour and a half this week. Every week we say we went overtime. If you go overtime every week, it's not going overtime. I think it's a regular show, I guess. But
it's expanding. It's expanding enthusiasm.
There we go. I would like to do final thoughts for tonight. Ian, what's your final thoughts for tonight?
Well, to everyone in the Facebook land, thank you for stopping by, tuning in, engaging with the page. Every reaction, share means a lot to us. Helps us get the message out there for pro-independence. March in Glasgow, 4th of May, we'll be broadcasting from the streets. We'll be in the rally, so don't worry if you can't be there. We'll be on the street. You can join our Facebook Live. We'll be hosting all sorts of guests throughout the day because we've got a lot of viewers out there. And shout out to the page, getting over 1,000 likes. That says at 1,007 likes now on the People's Doorstep referendum. So thank you all for your positive engagement. Thank you for being part of our little clan here. And if you want to get involved in the show, please do let us know. Get in touch, drop us a PM, and Salaba.
Thank you, mate. Pat, your final thoughts for tonight?
My final thoughts, folks. The starting gun has been fired. There will be a referendum before, and that's the key word. The key word in Nicola's statement was there will be a referendum before 2021.
Yeah.
And it is important that we are uplifted and we remain uplifted by that announcement. But let's not be complacent. It is still up to the Yes family, the Yes movement, to drive the political arm, to deliver independence. And let's not get sidetracked by this issue or that issue or the next issue. Let us concentrate on the one goal that will deliver independence.
Yeah.
And that is that we all work together and make independence happen.
Amen.
Because on the day after independence, nothing changes other than the ability to change everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Marco, your final thoughts.
Ja, Colin, ich bitte dich wieder zu übersetzen, weil ich es einfach mit deutschen Worten wesentlich besser sagen kann.
No, go ahead, mate. Go ahead. Don't worry. Go do it in German.
Ich schließe mich den Worten von Pat an und ich sage, der kleinste gemeinsame Nenner und das Ausrufezeichen und das Referendum so bald als möglich.
Marco concurs with what Pat has been saying and reiterates the lowest common denominator and the exclamation mark is a referendum as soon as possible.
Amen. Colin, will you continue with your final thoughts?
Yep, and I also obviously concur with what Marco, Pat and Ian have said. Final thoughts tonight. I'd like to also reiterate the Independence Live crowdfunder, because those folk are doing a brilliant job. They need our help, but if we help them, we're actually getting something back. It's no like paying your BBC licence fee and you just get fucking Ruth Davidson spitting shite.
Type propaganda.
Independence Live, they'll stream events, and if you've got an event maybe coming up and you'd like it to be streamed, get in touch with them. They'll try and get somebody over there, if possible. You actually have the opportunity to ask them, will you stream our event, please? And we've seen that in The Hague, we've seen that in Berlin. So if they could do it in The Hague and in Berlin, they'll do it in Scotland any day of the week, if in any way possible. If they need the money, they're not asking for a lot of money, and if you're able to chip in, follow Independence Live, also on the radio station, Indie Live Radio. I'm hoping we're going to be finished by midnight our time, because I'd like to go into the music quiz with Jabberwocky. It's always a great banter. You've got great shows. Listen to Indie Live Radio. Don't listen to the BBC or Radio T, Radio 4, Radio Clyde. Listen to Indie Live Radio when you're at your workplace, when you're at home. Great bunch of guys, great banter. You just have to love it.
Exactly.
But you do need
the app for the radio player. The radio player app is available on all the.
They've got an app, as I say, but I mean, again, it does have to be financed in some shape or form. So please, if you're able to, consider contributing to the Independence Live crowdfunder and keep them on air.
Exactly. Exactly, mate. Graham, your final thoughts.
Actually, I've got something a wee bit different. I'm just looking at this pot here. The Greek yogurt here. And I pride myself on not having anything in my house with a Union Jack on it. And as we know, it's getting a wee bit more difficult. You've got to shop about a wee bit now. And I was cleaning out this yogurt pot to put it in the bin. And I don't know if you can see that. But I'll take the outside off.
What was it called?
If you go inside the pot.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not putting them on the outside because we'll be bad. Putting them on the inside. The establishment worked one right up me this week.
Graham,
It's definitely mouldy though.
Graham, you make a great point there. This is an example of the British state machine programming the people. It will use any means possible. Now, in that example there, most people will clean out the pot and throw it away. But when you clean that pot out, you notice there was something in the inside. Right. This is programming. Yeah. And folks, the whole point is that we have said throughout the referendum campaign, we're fed up of the media. Well, forget the media. Forget the media. Become the media.
Exactly.
Not only Independence Live. Not only Independence Live. We must We must, and I'll do a Bob Geldof here. Give me your fucking money. Excuse my French. Excuse my French, but we need an alternative, and Independence Live is that alternative.
Exactly.
So, folks, if you can contribute.
Exactly.
But if you can't contribute, join Independence Live. Stream for them. Let them have the content to convince the rest of the country we are going and we will have independence.
Exactly. Well, people, my final thoughts. I would like to say again, our event in The Hague will be the third event. If you want information on, if you're thinking about coming over, if you haven't made arrangements yet, please get in contact with us if you need help. I know, getting close, Pat. And do it as
numbness.
There's numbness.
I've got numbness in my hand.
Do we want to know how it came so?
You two did in that bed.
But
brotherly love only.
But yeah, if you need any information, please let us know. Same goes for this Saturday. If you can go over there and show support, go over there. Go to Edinburgh. Go to Glasgow, and you'll have a blast of a time. Only thing that can go wrong is the weather, possibly. But other than that, it still will be a blast. Pat, go ahead.
Just to reiterate, folks, it is going to be beautiful on Saturday, and Kelvin Grove Park, 1 o'clock gather for a 1:30 set off to Glasgow Green. 1 o'clock, Kelvin Grove, 1:30 set off. Be there. I would love to see you all.
Exactly.
Well, engage with Monkey Jacob.
What?
And we can whistle and smile to Monkey Jacob.
But that's as far as it goes.
Well, that was our show. I would like to say goodbye to everyone, but I would ask Graham, do you want to do a send-off for us with a wee tune?
I need to do the jack now because I get stitched up this week. So.
Go ahead and do the jack. Go ahead and do the jack.
My wife sent me to the shops to get some frozen chips. A simple little task I thought when it tumbled off her lips. I brought back macaroni. You should have seen her fuss. But the packet that the chips were in wasn't right for us. Had the jack. It had the jack. It had the jack. So I put it back. I saw this cracking shot. I thought I can afford that way a shop. I tried that on for size and it fitted like a dog. She brought me a fresh one, wrapped up red, blue and white. She asked me for the money, I said that will be shining bright. Had the jack, it had the jack, it had the jack, so I put it back. Well, you know that new pub that opened in the two. Me and all the boys, we headed down. I asked them for their finest beer and should have seen the glass. So when she asked me for the money, I said stick it. It had the jack. It had the jack. It had the jack. I had the jack. I had the jack. I had the jack. So I put it back. Now I'm starving. I've got no clothes to wear because that Union Jack is appearing everywhere. But I'm no giving in. I'll go without my tea until the matter settled in Bonnie, Scotland.
Thank you, Graham.
Look at it, folks. Look at it. Absolute talent.
Definitely. I should have said like that then. Should turn around. But okay. All right, guys. This was the show. I hope to see you again next week, same time and same group. And have a good night and see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.